What's going on, everybody? It's your
What's
boy
happening?
PC.
What's happening? What's happening?
What's happening it's the late night burn with Don and your boy PC, man.
The other guys may be joining us here in a minute, or they may not. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see where the night takes us.
Yes, sir. What you smoking on tonight, Don?
I got me the Ruination. It's the Salomon size of the Man of War Ruination. You can see
Oh,
that or not.
that's what's up.
Yep.
You
I
know,
got a little backup stick here. I got the Monte Cristo 1935 here as a backup. So I'm almost done with this one. What's up? What's up, Crispin? How you doing, man?
man, long time, Crespo. Yeah, but tonight I'm smoking the CAO Extreme, and I got a little undercrown here, petite that I like to smoke while I'm at work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man, that CAO Extreme, that's a good stick, man. What I think it's got like 3 or 4 different regions of tobacco in it, man. It's that's a nice stick, man. I got probably 10 of them in my humidor.
Yeah, man, it's got the Ecuadorian Habano, it's got the Langiro on the wrappers. I mean, it's what is it? It's got and it's from the origins from Nicaragua, man. So
Yeah,
I love this, man. It has a great little smell, and it's just one of my favorites.
yep, yep.
And it doesn't hurt that you can get them at a good price too. So
I'll tell you what, man. You know, I stopped using the website that we used for a long time, but I've gotten back into it a little bit, and I've gotten some really good deals on that thing. This Ruination is one of them. The Ruination 10-year.
right.
I just picked up a couple of more, tonight. So we'll see how the bids work out. But
Hey man, don't tell everybody what you're bidding on. You got some people come out there and snipe you and stuff like that.
man,
So
that's the funny thing about that website, man. If you ain't on there right when that thing closes, they will snipe you with like 5 seconds to go, man. You're like, I had it. But
yeah, I'm gonna take a break from that little site for a minute, but I gotta go. I gotta bring me some boxes in. I'm gonna have to start buying boxes, and because I'm just smoking too many at one time, so probably gonna try to do like something with 2 or 3 boxes at a time,
yeah, yeah,
just to stay stocked up. But I got this one humidor I don't smoke anything out of. It's a lot of the good stuff, and I know we all say if you got them, smoke them.
right.
Yeah, but those special occasion cigars, man, you want them around,
Absolutely. And I think it's no secret here. I like to smoke some good stuff, but I try to save some stuff for nice occasions, or when we're celebrating something. We got something big coming up next week. And I'll just say it out here. It's our 1 year anniversary of doing the podcast. Was it June 3rd or 4th or whatever that day? June 3rd
right?
of last year was our first time to do the podcast. So I got a question for you about that. So
Just
when we first started doing this thing, and we don't have to get into all the history of how we all got together. We can, but when we first started doing this thing, did you see it go in a year?
actually, I got to tell you, man, I was just going with the flow. To be honest with you, I mean, I really wanted to see it last, and we all made promo videos saying they ain't ready yet, they're not ready yet.
Yeah,
But I think that was more for us than the people that we were, posting,
right.
to let people know that we exist. We've come a long ways, and our motto is, slow and easy.
That's right.
And I didn't see it coming this far. I didn't. I couldn't see this far down the road. I
You
could
know,
see maybe 2 or 3 months down the road, but not a whole year.
for me, I thought we would be doing this a year. I never imagined we would get to talk to some of the people we've talked to. You know, just and most of that I got to give credit to JJ for reaching out to these people and staying on them until they said yes. And he has that mentality of all they can say is no. For me, sometimes I get in my head like, oh, I don't want to say anything. That guy don't got time for us. Well, how do you know unless you ask?
Yeah.
But
I love the fact that JJ has that attitude, and that's just persistence personified.
yep.
As far as the way that I see it, but I'm extremely happy that we've got a chance to talk to some of the people that we talk to from time to time. And it's been a learning experience for me. I always say it's all about the experience. We got to the point to where after that first podcast, we were coming up on our first road trip, and which was, man, I had a great time on that road trip. But at the same time, we had we planned something immediately without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that just solidified everything for me. And
for me on that first podcast, man, I was so nervous about this. And that that first podcast we were talking about Santiago cigars.
right.
He had sent us cigars, and we all liked that cigar, and we all smoked it beforehand, and then we smoked one on that podcast, and so we knew we liked the cigar, but you want to do right by the people that are doing right by you, and we've always said I'll never get on here and trash a cigar,
right,
because somebody might like it,
mm-hmm.
But I will tell you about the ones that I like and that I love, and for me that was a weird thing for me. Like, okay, I felt like I was being measured. Like, I got to say the right thing. I got to say the right. And the further we get into this thing, it's like I just say whatever I say now. And
yeah,
I'm confident enough that it, I'm not going to trash anybody, and I'm not going to say anything bad. But yeah, it's kind of funny for me the different iterations of our show. That we've gone from just doing interviewing people. Then we started with the sip and smoke, where
right.
we've done a couple of blind smokes, which those are really fun to me. And then this late hour thing that we're doing, I'm just having a blast with this. This is yeah. Cool.
I mean, like I said, I've been having a ball, man. And I got into all of this stuff, man, just trying to stay out of my comfort zone. And it's been times that throughout my life, I've done interviews when I was playing sports and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as you don't know that you need something like this. I didn't know I was going to meet you guys and stuff like that.
Right.
Which has really been a blessing in disguise, So
sure.
And it was real cool that you can find some people that you really get along with, and how we actually run things, man. There's no one person that sits at the head of the table. We all, have a say so. And I think that's really cool, the dynamics that we have and how we move. And it's all about, I think we all have the same idea of teaching, young smokers. That's my thing. I want to see that the people that's interested in smoking, I want to kind of knock down that brick wall for them. And that's how we went into it. And I was holding on to that, that these people need to know this is something that you can really enjoy. It's not something that, some smoking get a bad rap. So it's not that.
Right.
That was the beautiful thing for me.
We had a funny story earlier today, and it kind of sums up why I wanted to do this. And that was, you saw that youngster riding around on that electric bike, and you said, man, if we could just go back to those days. I was like, yeah, man, we just had to do your thing during the day, where the school or whatever, and then you get to hang out with your buddies in the evening. And I went, wait, that's what I do now.
Right. And the only thing I can tell you is, like, some things just don't change. And
right.
And that's the beauty of the group, man. We have a dynamic where we can hang out, laugh, and we ride each other down, and there's no hard feelings. Nobody walks away from the table mad. And
right.
And it's one of those things. What's going on?
What's up, William?
So and we just have a good time, man. And we doing it while we smoking cigars, man. And we just regular guys. And that's the beauty of it. And we know that there's a mystique about, people who smoke cigars and stuff like that. But there's still a mystique. But we're just regular guys just chopping it up like we do in the lounge or whatever, and just having a great time.
Yeah, when we had that first interview with Terrence Riley, our first interview was with Larry,
Mhm.
and he really was a regular dude. He's got a brand new cigar line out. I guess he's been out a year now.
Yeah, World of
Um,
Cigar. Yeah.
yep. And then our first interview with somebody that was big in the industry was Terrence Riley.
Mhm.
And I was a little bit starstruck. Like of course you hear the name, the guy's all over the place with Aganorsa Salif, and when we were sitting there, we were talking about cigars that we didn't want to smoke because we can't get them anymore. And he just kind of
Right.
looked at the camera and went, "Guys, smoke your cigars, man. We're all just regular dudes here. We're not anything that, And for me, I really came home when we interviewed Rick Rodriguez for West Tampa because, as you know, West Tampa is my favorite cigar. And I was like, um, that was it. Really hit home. Like, man, smoke these cigars. That's why you bought them. You bought them because you enjoy the way they taste and the experience of it.
Right.
And just you know so I still hoard a couple of cigars that I'll probably never smoke just because they mean something to me, or whatever. But that somebody said something, I can't remember who it was, the other night when we were on here chopping it up, and I think Panda was saying something about he got a cigar from somebody and it means a lot to him, so he's not going to smoke it. And
Right.
somebody just brought up, "Hey, is it disrespectful not to smoke it if somebody gave it to you?" And I
Right.
went, we kind of just blew on by that, but I saw that comment and I was just like, yeah, because that person gave it to you to smoke,
Right.
you know,
It meant the world to them to give you that stick because and
yeah,
and, and it was a primo stick. What is it, the Opus?
it was one of his opuses, yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, man. Yeah, we gotta smoke them, but it depends on if you can get your hands on them. But we know he's a hoarder, so he can he can get his hands on
Well,
as many sticks as he can smoke.
and if it's a stick that somebody special gave to you, then yeah, maybe save it for a special occasion or whatever. But
Mhm.
don't leave it in your humidor for 20 years, and then 20 years from now it ain't
It ain't vibing, huh?
yep, yep. Yeah, so William and I, he just had a comment there. William and I, he was working down here in my area, and he came over to the lounge, to the Oasis here, and we sat out here and burned a stick together, and we talked about this very subject, like, and it's you know, and he's into some other thing. He's into the I don't even know what the right word is. William, is it alternative power or whatever the word is for it? He's into a lot of that stuff,
Hmm.
and he has some things that some people gave him. He was like, I don't want to use that. I don't want, and it was like, well, wait a minute, same kind of it can go across
Yeah.
a multitude of different genres. It doesn't have to just be cigar smoking. I have, you know, we were just talking about special people who've given us firearms and that kind of stuff, and I don't want to get too much into that, but
Right.
I have some firearms that have been given to me that I have up on the wall, and I'm like, I ain't never going to shoot that, but why? That's why they gave it to you.
Yeah, for you to use it. I mean, you don't have to carry like I said, you don't have to carry it every day, but you do have to take
Hmm.
it to the range and stretch it out every once in a while. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I get that. But you were talking about Terrence Raleigh, man. Like I said, when we first talked to that guy, I that was amazing to me, and to meet him in person,
Yep.
he
And
is
that guy's like 6'8".
yeah, he could set his elbow on top of my head. So and yeah, he was just so cool, man. He sat there and had a conversation with us, and he kind of make you feel relaxed. Where it's like, man, look here, we talk cigars 24/7. What's going on with you? He wanted to talk real life, and I saw him as a real guy,
Yep.
and I just thought that was cool. Like I said, Larry, which is another guest that we had, Larry from Royalty Cigars, he's right here in town with me. And, I text him this morning just to say, hey, man, just checking up on you. Hope everything's good. He's like, man, everything's going well. What's going on with you? And these are real people, that's doing an extraordinary thing in our eyes,
Yeah.
because they put out some great sticks. And that's what we need to always look at, when it comes to what we're doing here with cigars. We're introducing extraordinary people to real
Yep.
life
Yep.
stuff.
It's what it is. And like you said, Terrence was sitting out on his back porch. You know, that guy. He's out there making cigars and selling cigars and getting the cigars all over the world. But you know what? He still comes home at 5 o'clock to his family. And that was a big portion of our conversation with him was talking about family and his son plays soccer and all that. And he loves going out and watching his son play soccer. And that was one of the, watching my kids do their thing. My daughter was the athletic trainer,
right?
For the, watching her get athletes ready to play and helping them when they got injured. And then my son playing sports. Two of the, that was two of the highlights of my life,
Yeah, no, I get that, man. And it seemed like, all the guests that we've had, they have been good, regular people, man, that you can sit down and talk to. And a lot of these people, man, is like, hey, if you ever need anything, just give me a call. They're very personable. Yep. That's what I like, and they don't see themselves above you or beneath you, just people that you can sit down and talk to and chop it up. And me personally, that's like when I go to the lounge, I talk to any and everybody. And I just love the camaraderie that we have when we do talk to these people. And a lot of times they break the ice with us. And once they break the ice, it's over with.
So Matt Booth was a perfect example. I kind of expected Matt to come on and be Mr. Prim and proper and talk about his cigar. Man, the minute he got on the stage thing, he was Matt Booth. He was himself, and I love that. I love that about him. Same with Pete Johnson. You see Nick Perdomo. Nick Perdomo's up on this pedestal for all of us. As cigar smokers. And he's this guy, and he was sitting in his room smoking a cigar and chopping it up with four guys that just happened to like his cigars. And that kind of thing. And kind of told us his story and they all got a cool story. Especially a lot of these guys come from immigrant parents and that kind of stuff that right. They didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of when they were kids, and they've made something out of themselves, with their cigars and stuff. And for talk about Larry, that's something he's probably, he sees a future vision of him being that guy, and right. and it doesn't, what's that old saying? Nobody knows how long it took for me to become an overnight success.
Right. Yeah. It's 10 years of overnight before you become a success. But, right. That's the thing, though. A lot of these people have built legacies for their family, not just the yep. cigar itself. And that's what I see when, we're talking about people. We got people that's legacies, cigar makers versus a boutique cigar maker. They all have the same mindset. They're trying to build something for themselves and their family so that, they can have a legacy all together. And I think we all should be doing it, especially as men, and not to negate what the women are doing in this industry. But as men, we all should step forward and try to build something for our families, man. Because, we got to leave them something to be proud of, especially if you're a trailblazer, man. So
yeah, whether it be a work ethic or a company or whatever you give to them, it's something that you gotta think about, and all of our kids, except for JJ's got small kids. He's still in the beginning stage of that. But for us, all of our kids, me, you, and Panda, all of our kids are grown.
Yeah.
Now it's the lessons of when now that they understand, watching mom and pop work, and I look at my wife, and my wife's been at her job for 30 years. She right. loves it. I've always been envious of her. She wakes up every morning and can't wait to go to work because she has such a good job and does it get stressful on days? Yeah. Does she hate it on days? Yeah, absolutely. But she wakes up every morning like, this is my calling. This is what I do, and she, right. She loves our community, and she works she's the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce around here. And she spends a good portion of her life promoting this area, and she does a dadgum good job of it,
Yeah. Yeah. But you think about something. I don't know. We haven't talked about this, but you look at what JJ is actually doing, being a rep for, the company Blue Sky. And his kids are watching him build this thing, and he is dynamic at this thing.
Yep.
Can you imagine watching? Like I just got off the FaceTime with my grandkids. Like, Grandpa, you on the podcast? I was like, no, not yet. Can you imagine the impression that JJ is making, on his kids, and you can do more than what you think you can do. And man, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like, planting that seed and following through. And that's kind of what I want to do for my family. I want to be the example.
Well, and if you're a parent, man, woman, mom, dad, whatever you are, and you don't have the desire for your kids to be better than you were, then what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah. And that's, my dad used to always preach to me at, times, you can do anything you want to do. The only limitation you have is yourself, and you're your own obstacle. So once you master yourself, man, the rest of the world, it's just a blip. And not to be selfish or anything like that. You just got to, always be on your grind. You got to always be focused. You got to always want something for yourself, even when you're at that tough time in life. You got to believe in yourself, and that's the thing. I think we've come to understand that we believe in each other in this podcast, man. That's why we keep doing what we're doing, because we want to share. We want to share with the people.
So, Bonded by the Leaf, and I'm not sure if that's Panda or JJ. Just said he needs some cigars if anybody wants to share. and whichever one of you that is, I know how many cigars you got, so I don't even want to hear it.
Hey, my number one humidor is getting empty, so do share. They got boxes though. How do you have an 800 count humidor, man? Please.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. This has been a beautiful ride, man. Like I said, I was taking it one step at a time. You know what I mean? I'm still excited about what we're doing, and hope to see it just keep growing. I don't see any quit, or even though everyday life, we have family and stuff like that. We got good friends that come check us out. And for those who see us out here, man, please come subscribe on YouTube.
And Tuesday night, we're going to do our 1 year anniversary show. It's actually the day of our 1 year. We did our first podcast, so we're gonna have some fun, chop it up, reminisce a little bit, talk about what we did this year and what we got planned for next year, man, or this coming year. It ain't even next year anymore. It's this coming. It's this year,
And it would be nice if we hit that 500 and we can just give away a lot of those prizes that we have for the people, man. We got a lot of good prizes. We got some people donate some things, and they want to see you guys have these, these items, and get you some good stuff, man. Some good accessories and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But so what you got planned for this weekend? I know you was talking about going to the range for a second.
Yeah, I'll probably do that a little bit. I don't have a whole lot going this weekend, man. My son's going out of town, so I gotta. I have to. We're gonna be dog sitting, so my dog and my son's dog don't get along. So either my wife's going to his house to watch his dog, or I'm going to his house to watch his dog. One of the two. We'll have to split up on Saturday, but he'll be back Sunday morning. But so Saturday's kind of spoken for. But yeah, I just need a down weekend. Actually, I just had a 5-day vacation. I didn't do anything, but I still need a down weekend just to I got a trip coming up at the end of June that we're taking the family to Vegas, and we're gonna have a good time and all that stuff. So
yeah, I'm supposed to be working this weekend. If I don't, that's cool. Like I said, I'll probably take care of some stuff around the house and make sure everybody's good. Got the son back to the point to where he's moving some things around. Excuse me.
Are you ready?
Trouble.
You ain't ready. Trouble. Here comes trouble.
Trouble.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Hey man, we just chopping it up, man. We telling the
Yeah,
people about
I've been watching, man. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it, man. I apologize for my tardiness. I got kind of caught up at the lounge and playing some dominoes and some poker, and so sporting the Godfather. You know what I mean?
Godfather. Yep.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. One of our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. So how you guys been?
Man, we're good. How about you, man?
I'm good. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. You know, the crazy part is that I got home early thinking we were gonna leave today, and nah, wah wah wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
And,
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked PC earlier.
what's up?
When we started this a year ago, how far did you see it going?
To the moon, baby. To the moon.
Did you?
No. Listen. I was listening to that. How do I say this without?
Just say it.
Okay, so you guys know we came from a different group. I came from a different group, and the dynamics didn't blend for me. And at that point, and I shared with you guys, I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna maybe do something solo, but it's not fun. I mean, the reality, the whole idea of doing something, or if you're gonna be a part of this, you want to be part of something greater than just by yourself.
Right.
And so that's why it was so important that when we all sat down, right, we had a conversation, right? We had a conversation, and we kind of put all our cards on the table, right? We all said, okay, the do's and don'ts, the do's and don'ts that we don't want, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And I honestly think that going through that past experience, I think it's kind of helped me and us as a whole get better. You know what I mean? And learn from our mistakes. You know, I think that I said it. If I'm gonna do it, I want to make sure that everybody is transparent with one another, and that we're not going to always agree on everything, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that, right? But my biggest thing was that I wanted us to grow as a group, and this is why I said, we sit in a round table, right? We don't. There's no leader in this group. We all play our part, and listen, there's no secret that I'm the talkative one of the group. You know what I mean? I know it's shocking. I know. Sometimes I shock myself, but and to me, like I said, we all have our role, and I think because we all kind of understand our roles, I think we blend and mesh a lot better. Yeah, with the sneakers and coffee. Yeah, come on. Wow. That's how we come in at it. But yeah, but to answer your question, I know I went all around it. No, I did it. And that's the short answer. No, I did it. I was in hopes that we would be able to continue what we started. And we have, and to come Tuesday makes our 1 year anniversary. And hopefully those who are watching and, come and join us, because we'll be live on Tuesday. We'll just stay tuned for the times and the time frames and stuff like that. It's probably going to be our normal 8 Eastern, 7 Central. It gives everybody time to kind of get themselves acclimated at home, have dinner with the family, etc.
Yep.
And we'll be smoking something. We all agree to smoke that same stick, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna smoke something that was a PCA release. These guys got that stick before the release at the PCA, and right now, I'm just looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the following the next year has for us guys. I really do.
Hey, I think I smoked that one stick.
I guess you are extra well.
Send me one. Send me one.
The problem is that my shop don't even have them yet. We're waiting for our orders.
No, I'm just kidding. I got it.
No, you know I would.
Nah, I know you.
Listen, guys, those who know me, the Panda's not shy of sharing his cigars. I mean, I have maybe 4 or 5 in my humidor, but I mean, I'll be more than happy to share the 4 or 5, or at least 4 of them, so at least I can smoke
400 or 500.
But it was funny because one of the guys was one of the guys at work was asking me, hey Pete, how many cigars do you think you have? And I was like, I really don't know. I said, I really don't want to know, be honest with you.
Right.
I know that, because then the follow-up question to that is, right, the follow-up question is, right, how much money do you think you've spent? I'm like, I definitely don't want to know. Right, exactly. International kind of, the stress. But, and to me, it's like, I enjoy them. And mind you, do I have legacy cigars? Yes, I have a bunch of them. Am I enjoying the heck out of these boutique cigars that are coming out and those that are out there that we've never tried and never heard of? And those are the ones that I'm honestly seeking. So that's something I don't know how many cigars I have. I know I could probably go easy a year or so without spending another dime. And smoke, and that's me. And I smoke at least on my days off. I smoke at least five or 6 cigars. During the week I smoke at least 3. So at minimum 3 a day. And do the math, and I could still probably smoke for 2 years without buying another stick.
Wow,
that's you got a problem, man. And
something PC and I were talking about. I don't know if you heard this or not. We were talking about Larry and Randy and those guys that are coming out with new cigars, and the next generation of podcasters hopefully we'll be talking to those guys as the legacy guys. Hopefully they get that successful and they kick butt like that, and I think the Perdomo family will always be around. The Padron family will always be around. All that stuff. But hopefully these guys get into that territory where the next generation is saying, man, that guy Larry, man, we had him on our podcast. I can't believe that, and it was kind of.
And you're right. And I hope I hope all those guys that are coming out with new plans and new cigar companies, etc., that do blow up. The only thing that I hope is that they stay humble. So to me, like, don't forget where you came from. Don't end up coming about these guys. Some of these.
So I was just about to say, my 90-year-old bud be like, "Yeah, I talked to that guy when he had one cigar."
Yeah, and you know what, guys? Hopefully we're doing this for a while. And you know what? And we said it, right? Even if we never really blow up, right? As long as we're having fun and we're enjoying each other's company, I think that I think. To me, I think we've already succeeded. I think we've already hit a milestone just being together for this long.
Yep.
Donnie boy, I spiked one of those short. What's up, Black?
What's going on, man? Yeah, man. I would love to see these guys blow up, man. Like you said, with all the legacy guys that we've talked to, they've always been humble. And you would think, that some of these guys are have a head that's the size of the moon, but they don't. They just regular guys, man. And, and the people that we've come across with the boutique cigars, man, they're pretty down to earth too. And, and a lot of times they don't want to talk about their stick. They want to talk about everything else and, chop it up with you in such a way that you like, you're like, damn, dude, you just a regular guy, man, so you can't I'll say this, you can't put anybody on a pedestal. And that's where a lot of people make their mistakes, putting people on pedestals, man. So you gotta keep that to the norm. Stop being starstruck.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, right? Because, like, I don't think I've ever been starstruck with anyone. You know what I mean? And Of course. Yes, they do. Southern Draw.
Southern Draws one. I just got a sample pack of theirs. Southern Draw. I think they're in Austin. Our buddy Randy, Ironclad Cigars is out of Texas. There's several Texas cigar makers that are, it's no secret. A lot of the cigar makers are in South Florida, because that's kind of the hub of things coming over from Nicaragua and Dominican and all that kind of stuff. But there are some Texas ones. Yeah, I'll try to put something together for you, William.
Yeah, listen, I'm both companies. I mean, Southern Draw's been out for a little bit. They've been out for a couple of years. Ironclad it's been out, a few months, But and I guess they're coming out with another line too from Ironclad. He hasn't disclosed it yet. But yeah, there's some great companies coming out of Texas.
Yep.
But I noticed, over time, a lot of people do business in Texas, man. Texas is another little stop for cigars, man, just like Florida. And that's like Allen. Allen operates, do a lot of events in Texas. So.
Well, that's because Texas is very. Let me tell you, I tell you, if you're going to start a boutique, if you're going to start a new cigar company, Texas is definitely a mile marker that you want to pinpoint, because they're very open to new companies and new brands and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before about South. The problem with South Florida, South Florida is all about status down here. You know what I mean? And that's what makes things harder for new companies that come out to sell to cigar smokers here in Florida. It's all about status.
Yeah.
Although I just found out that there might be a lounge south of my lounge that apparently they're like a 60-40. I heard that I think they said that there's 60% boutique and 40% legacy. So it's interesting.
You want to know if they grow the leaf in Texas at the same time?
No.
But do Texas have that climate?
No. Most of that stuff's going to come out of Nicaragua or Honduras or Ecuador or Connecticut, on the that kind of stuff. Not we don't really have the climate to grow that tobacco here. But yeah, I mean, Texas is I don't know if you know anything about Texans, but we like things that are from Texas. We're a pretty proud group, and so yeah. So Panda, got a big weekend this weekend. What you got going this weekend?
Yeah, man. Me and the missus tomorrow we head out to St. Augustine.
Nice.
And
a few days of downtime.
Yeah, just to kind of decompress. Kind of relaxing from my birthday and work, and especially work. Work has been out of control, as you guys know. And we leave first thing early morning. It's about a 3-hour trip for me.
Yeah.
And we plan to honestly just to go straight out there. We're gonna get up early, grab a cup of coffee, and just head straight. And once we get there, we'll actually on the way up, we're gonna stop at Buc-ee's as we always do. And
another great Texas institution.
Yeah. And what you call it, and then we'll probably the plan is to go straight to the beach. Go out there for a couple hours. Have a steak on the beach, and then go eat at our favorite beach down restaurant, Sunset Grill. Bow to the buck.
You know my saying about the beach. If it wasn't for the sun, the sand, and the salt water, the beach would be great.
You got some JJ-isms.
Yeah,
we have been to the OG Buc-ee's. Yep.
Yeah, and the crazy part so St. Augustine is probably the only beach that I actually go into the water. That I relax and just go in and out of the water a couple of times. When we go to Hollywood Beach, we go out there. And it's been a while since we go out there just to people watch and just relax. We'll bring our cooler, my cigars. We'll have some drinks in the cooler, and just people watch, but I won't go in the water. You know, I don't know why, but it's just it's not as crowded as St. Augustine as well, and I think that's probably part of the reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big crowd person, so
yeah, that's the one downfall, Blacks. That's the one downfall.
Hey man, hey Black, you about to lose a friend, brother.
and get a lot of Cowboy fans out of Texas.
Yeah, that's our one downfall.
Oh man,
He goes into the water. That's where he goes.
it's the water. Water.
He gets his drinks out of the cooler.
The cooler.
Ice chest.
There's an R at the end of that word. Cooler.
Cooler. Cooler.
Cooler.
How do you say it?
Cooler.
Cooler. What am I saying different?
Cooler. You have an AH at the end. Cooler. You have an AH at the end of that word.
Cooler. I guess I did. Oh, the way he says cooler sound slam for ass. But yeah, and then we got dinner reservations at that new place that we had found the last time called Asado Life. That's where I showed you guys where we had I didn't have the tomahawk, but the one that they have in the open fire.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. I might actually, blacks out. I might pull the trigger, man, and get me that damn I think it's like 32 ounces.
Tomahawk.
Yeah, or 38 ounce tomahawk. I can't remember. But yeah, I might just pull the trigger, man. The last time I had I think a sirloin.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so damn good, man. And very inexpensive, man, for what you would think that it would be. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other places that we've eaten, like Michael's Tasting Room, which is one of our spots that we always go to. But we heard the last time we were out there in October, I think that was like the final week that they were going to be in the downtown area, and I heard they moved it just north of Delano Beach at the hotel, and I heard it's on the rooftop, and so we might check it out. We'll see.
Yeah,
if the time permits. But you know me, I'm gonna have go to Island Jim's Lounge, hang out there, go to Isabella because, as you guys know, I got a lock over there. I'm probably gonna bring some sticks over there as well, another bottle.
Yeah. So my ideal beach trip is renting a beach house and sitting out on the deck, watching the water come in. I love that. That kind of just serenity of that, and having a couple of good sticks, and then, like you said, going out to any beach town you go to is going to have some good restaurants. They're going to have some good fresh seafood. They're going to have some good steakhouses, that kind of stuff. So because they're trying to, they're pandering to getting people down there. So you're always going to have good food down there, but just the serenity. I don't love the beach. I don't love all that stuff. I burn pretty easy, as you guys know from the last couple of weeks, and so for me, just sitting out on the deck, having a good cigar, nice drink, and then let whoever's with us, let them go to the beach if they want to, and
Yeah, we normally go down to Perdido Key, man. They got some sugar sands down there. We'll go stick our feet in the water and sit out on the beach up on an umbrella or something like that. People watch. But when we get there, we go to this place called Joe Patty's in Pensacola. And man, we buy all the seafood. We do a seafood boil in the we have a condo, and we do a seafood boil, and we eat seafood the entire time that we're there, pretty much. And we go out to the alligator farm sometimes, and that's we just hang out, man. Every once in a while, I'll slide on over to my hometown and come on back to the condo, man. And just we do a real vacate. We don't rush to do anything.
And that's us.
Phone.
And that's it. My kids know, don't answer, don't call dad, because dad's phone is on airplane mode.
Mm-hmm.
Do not disturb, leave me the heck alone. But yeah, and the beach is that Sunset Grill. I love that clam chowder.
Mhm.
and they got. I mean, apparently they're award-winning clam chowder recipe, whatever. But it is absolutely fun. Even my people from Boston, they came down and said it's one of the best clam chowders they've ever had. It is phenomenal.
And the thing about it, man, they just opened up a lounge there within the last few years. Now I don't have to travel, 60 miles to go to, a lounge. I can just go right down the strip and hang out. Beautiful lounge. That's where I bought my first Davidoff. Um, yeah, man, and get as many old fashions as I can drink.
Hell yeah, man. See, it's crazy because we'll go to the Prohibition Kitchen for the old fashions, and then we go to the Ice Plant. 'Cause I love their gin and tonic because they make their own tonic, and it's just something about their tonic that I mean they make their own gin too, but there's something about that tonic that is absolutely fire, man. Especially it's gonna be hot out there. There's nothing better than a nice, cool, refreshing drink. You know what I mean? And that seems to be my go-to drink, especially in the summertime, is a gin and tonic, just to kind of keep me down. Cool, keep me nice and cool. So, is it William that asked me that question?
Yep. No, it was
Oh, Kilted Woodsmith. So I have 3 humidors in my house. So I have one humidor that I've had for about 20 some odd years. And that has become my prepping humidor. So in other words, if I get anything from Seabid or somebody sends me cigars, whether to try them out or just as a gift, that's where they go. I don't ever put anything into my regular humidor, and that humidor holds roughly maybe 50 cigars. Then I have my big humidor, which is a big semi-tower. It has legs, a CAO humidor. That would probably hold, what do you think, guys? How many cigars you put in?
probably
About
2 drawers, 5 drawers.
probably what 500 maybe.
At least 600 cigars. And each drawer is filled to the gills, man. And then I have the other one that's a AJ Fernandez humidor that holds probably, I want to say maybe 200 sticks. So in my big humidor on the bottom shelf is where I keep all my premium cigars, like all my big legacy cigars. And in my AJ Fernandez, I have a mixture of the legacy cigars, but then I also have some of my high-end stuff. Like I have my Opuses in that one as well, some Padrones. Then I have my AJ Fernandez, my H. Upmans, my West Tampas. What else I have in there? Oh, my Don Carlos #2. So yeah. So I have I am a swamp creature and the one that's usually.
Hey, let's show the people why you should have a separate humidor. I don't know if you could see that.
I don't even look right, man.
It looks like an alien, man.
Hold on. Hey, Don, put them on the big screen.
Let's see if I can do that.
What, you double click your screen or something?
No, hang on. I know how to do it. Hang on. There we go.
So, hey, there you go. Right? So you want to explain to people what that is?
That is a Beetle that I got in a shipment of these cigars. And I was at work and I was about to smoke it, man. And I saw that thing and I was like, oh, I was about to leave work to come home and check my cigars out, man, to see if I ruined my whole box.
That's what we call a protein-infused cigar.
Dude, yeah. I love Don's comment when you share that picture with everybody. He's like, great, now I gotta worry about warts on my cigars.
It looks like a wart on that cigar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That thing was brewing an alien, man.
Oh my love, man. It's growing a third head. Oh, and also, yeah, I just reread it. And I absolutely love my cigars. My percentage, I love 65. That's my go-to. I don't like to go anything past maybe 68. So my range is between even 64. So you figure between 64 and 68 is where I absolutely. But my prime number is 65. I try to keep it. And let me tell you something. That's a hard number to keep when you have a lot of cigars in the humidor. So you got to kind of play around with it. So I don't have a digital one. I'm old school. I prefer the crystals and the Boveda packs.
Mhm.
You know, so what I'll do is I have 2 big jars of the crystals in there, and I have a couple of Boveda packs, and then I let it sit for a week, check my hydrometer. If it's too high, and then I start taking some away, and then if it goes drop too low, I might add an extra one until I get it to where I want. Because remember, all those cigars are fighting for that humidity. You know what I mean? So that's my position. I love 65. I mean, I know we spoke about that. Everyone talk about you don't want to hear this, and I know people that love it at 72. To me, that's just way too high for me.
Yeah.
I absolutely love 65%. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm roughly around 65 to 67, but I use the crystals and the puff packs. And the thing about the puff packs, you can revitalize them once they get dry. You can just put them in some distilled water, let them sit, they'll puff right back up. So
Nice.
yeah,
Well, I didn't even ask, what are you guys smoking?
man. You know your boy. I got me a CAO Extreme tonight, man.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I started off with the Ruination, the Salomon that we got, but I was almost finished when we started, and I got the Monte Cristo 1835.
That's such a good cigar, man. That cigar is so good. But before I want to I'm smoking the camshaft 550 flat 554.
554, yeah.
554 flathead. I absolutely love this stick.
Yeah.
But that Monte Cristo 1935 anniversary, that sucker's fire. And then the crazy part, you could tell. It's funny because right now, I don't know if it's the tariffs that are affecting this. That I don't know about you guys, man. You go on CPID now, you are seriously battling, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, like those 1935s, man. You know the 5-packs either that they don't have them for a long stretch, especially the torpedoes. I absolutely love the torpedoes. You know, excuse me. And now you for a 5-pack, man. I've seen them go as high as $100+ dollars.
Yep.
You know,
Man, I got some a few weeks ago, man. I got I got a 10-pack for a little or nothing. This was right before when the tariffs was taking place.
Yeah.
But I got a 10-pack. I'm holding on to some. I almost smoked one tonight too.
Dude, another one are those Solomons that Don's talking about. This. So Man of War has a 18-pack sampler of Solomons, and they're your Virtues, your regular Man of War, and your Man of War on Ruination.
Right.
And those cigars, if you guys have not tried it, what's going on, Brandon? If you guys have not tried any of the Man of War, especially the Ruination, we all seem to be on the same page when it comes to the Ruination. That to me, that's the first one that I absolutely love. You know, and like I said, there's so many boutiques, but now I've gotten 2 sampler packs, right, of the Solomons at, I think the highest I paid was what, 20, at most, I want to say even $26.
Yep.
Right now, Don,
I saw one today that went for that. It still had like 5 hours to go. It is at $61.
Yeah, it's insane. But I honestly think, and this is just my observation and just my opinion. I think, you know, everybody, especially in the mom and pop stores, everyone's gone up in price.
Yeah.
Now, I say this, guys, still support your brick and mortar.
Yeah.
It is so important because if all you do is buy online, you know, that brick and mortar, that favorite lounge that you love going to is going to get shut down. They're going to shut down because they're not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
You know? So I'm a big supporter of my brick and mortar, as you guys know. You know, my home lounge, you know, to me, that's truly my second home. I'm definitely like a part of the furniture there. jumped the gun, this person to ban companies. I agree, Brandon. You know what? And to me, there's something to say about that, right? You got some of these legacy companies that have gone up way above the tariff prices, way above. Well, we had this conversation, right? These legacy cigar companies, especially the higher tier ones, they'll jump $1, $2 because they know that their fan base, they don't care. You know, if you're smoking on a daily a Padron, a Davidoff, a Fuente, and they go up $1, $2, you're still gonna pay that $1 or $2.
Right.
You know, the average Joe, the average blue collar guy that's been, you know, his range is between 8 and let's say I'll go as high as 15, 16 bucks. You know, is that cigar worth that extra $2?
Right.
You know, I guess it's all, you know, subjective, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't blame you. You know, so hopefully, you know, things kind of balance things out. But here's the question though. Now, let's say things do go back to whatever normal is, right? Are they going to drop the prices?
No.
Exactly.
Because they conditioned us. They conditioned us to pay those higher prices.
That's it. You know, and you know what I think about that?
You know, and at the end of the day, if you think about it, we're just it's a leaf that we're lighting on fire, you know, so it's kind of just, you know.
Listen, if you want to I don't want to say compete, not like it, well then say it's inflation. Of course, there's always going to be an excuse, right?
Right.
But to me, I just think that, you know, I don't think it's fair to the consumer, right? Because if you guys, first of all, those who are on, you guys know what Keystone pricing is? Does anybody on that's on the comments watching? Does anybody know what Keystone pricing is? Well, if you do or you don't, if you don't, Keystone pricing is basically a 50% markup all the way from the distributor. So basically, if I'm the manufacturer and I sell it to Don, I sell him a stick for $4, right? I'm making his cigars for $4. So, right? So now Don has $4. He has to pay me, right? So now when he goes to PC's Lounge, he's charging PC $8, right? And then when PC's done, now he's a retailer, right? He's going to sell it to you as the consumer. Now that $8 becomes $16, and that's what you pay as the consumer, right? So to me, there's ways to balance these tariffs, right? On both sides of the spectrum. Because does it cost the people in Nicaragua, DR, or wherever they're making, Honduras, you know, Brazil, is it costing them any more money to make the cigars? No. Where it's costing them is in the shipping.
Right.
The shipping, right? So how do you balance that out, right? You're gonna have to you're gonna have to figure out your price point, you know, because you as the retailer, especially if you start seeing that people are buying less and less cigars, what are you gonna do? You know, I mean, you got 50% to play with. Just my, you know, that's just my point of view. You know, instead of selling at 50% markup, play around and do 40%, 35% markup. Yeah, your profit margins ain't going to be as high, but guess what? You're still making double, you know,
Profit, yeah.
You're still making your profit. You're still, you know, paying your bills and stuff like that. But it maintains it, and guess what? Your customers are going to appreciate it. You know, so you saw what Nick Perdomo did. You know, during the first, you know, when back in the 2014, they ate that extra. You know, and I don't expect everybody to do that. You know what I mean? But, and I know at the end of the day, guys, it's a business and they're there to make money. I get it, but to how far are you willing to go? You know, and I guess it's easier for me to say that because I don't own a lounge, right?
Right.
You know? So,
well, you know, it's in a different industry, but I read something today Southwest Airlines today stopped. Yesterday was the last day they did bags fly free. So now on Southwest Airlines, you're going to have to pay for your bags. And I read from that they estimate that they'll increase their revenue by $1.5 billion a year by charging for bags. They also estimated this is going to blow your mind. They also estimated that they would lose $1.8 billion in customers going, well, they're no different than anybody else, and I'll just fly, another airline. Why would you, if you're gonna make 1.5 billion, but you're gonna lose 1.8 billion, why would you do that? I don't understand that the logic.
That doesn't make any sense. That's
No.
just because here's my question: if you're still in the black, right, and you're not in the red, and this is not affecting you, why would you do that to your loyal customers, right?
Well, and I'm a loyal Southwest flyer. But now that they're not any different than anybody else, so I'm going to look for the better prices. I'm going to look for the.
And mind you, there is something to say that about certain airlines that they're not the greatest airlines per se as far as service or seating and stuff like that. But if it's a 2-hour, 3-hour flight and it's costing me $150, $200 cheaper, I'll suck it up.
Yep.
I'll spend the $200 on cigars.
But if it's not anymore, then
right.
Well, there's a such thing. People used to travel in their cars cross country. You just start planning for that trip to drive cross country, man, or catch the bus or the train.
Yeah.
The train they still run. Amtrak is still in business.
Oh yeah.
The problem is we've gotten conditioned. If you take a week off of work and it takes you 2 days to drive somewhere and 2 days to drive home,
right?
That's 4 or 7 days that are taken, in the drive. Now, what you lose when you don't do that is stopping at the places along the way, seeing what the country has to offer. And I was thinking about that today. Like, a friend of mine from high school, I was reading on a Facebook post that they took a trip. They drove somewhere to the East Coast from Texas. And they stopped in Tennessee, and they stopped in Kentucky, and they did the whole bourbon, the whole bourbon stopping and all that.
Yeah,
bourbon trail.
Yeah, and said, that's a thing that we don't, if you're just flying there and flying back, you don't get to do all that stuff. And I remember as a kid, the only time we ever flew was when we went back to Philly for to visit back home. But if we went somewhere else on vacation, we drove.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you got a big family, that's an expense.
We all piled in the back of the station wagon and away we went.
Where'd you go? Jen's best friend, who lives in Pennsylvania, they live in Hershey, and it's what? Let me see, 5 of them. It's easier and cheaper for them to drive down than for them to fly as a whole. I mean, it's crazy. It's a long drive, but they do it. That's what I was going to ask. The companies know about every state. Well, every state is different because of the taxes. Okay, and you have certain states that have higher tobacco taxes than others.
Georgia.
Listen, go to the Northeast. Go to the Northeast. Go to New York. Go to Boston. Go to Connecticut. Go to Philadelphia. Go to
Yeah.
Even Chicago, you know what I mean? All these states have huge. Look at California,
40%, 40 or 45%,
Right, at one time, look at remember what was it? Montana. Montana had some ridiculous amount. I mean, now is normal. But what was his? What were they saying? It was like almost like 80% or some ridiculous number.
Yeah.
It was stupid. I can't remember the exact number, but I know it was like absolutely absurd.
As a matter of fact, the company that we know that was there moved to Texas because of it. They moved their whole company to Texas because of it,
And then that's absurd, right? And it's so, and this is what, for any of those that are looking and thinking about coming up with their own brand and new companies, do your homework first. And all I can tell you, it sounds cool, it sounds fun, but it's a lot of work, a lot of work.
Right.
And if you're not willing to put in the time or the effort, your company's not going to succeed. I mean, it's just
look at these guys. Look at these guys we've talked to. Almost all of them said when they first started, they were 250, 270 days a year on the road, in a hotel room, and different city every night. And I think it was Nick Perdomo said that he traveled the East Coast, and he had a goal to sell however many cigars it was, and didn't have the capital to be doing that, but he knew he had to do it, and he would call home collect, and when whoever would answer the phone, they'd say collect call from Nick Perdomo or whatever, and the person would just hang up, and that just told them I'm okay, I'm good, because didn't have the money for the charges, and it really is a kind of a it really is a face-to-face business, so you got to be willing to put in that work.
You got to grind. You got to grind and you got to hustle. If you don't have, listen, I'm a firm believer. If you're not a hustler, it's going to be hard. You got to have that thrive. You got to have that determination that you got to have the mindset that you're not going to fail. Well, because you're going to get a bunch of no's.
That's what I was just about to say. Think about any salesman that comes to your house. What's the first thing? No matter what they're selling, they may have something that you need. What's the first thing you're going to say? "Nah, I'm good, man. Yeah, good." Yeah. And those guys got to be able to work through that. Every no has got to be a maybe and a not right now. Come back.
Right. I'll circle back. Yeah, because I look at what Larry does with his sticks. He's a boutique guy. And he started off here in Georgia, but he's going to small events like in Alabama. Then he'll stretch out, and for a while it was kind of hard for him to get outside of the Southeast region. And lo and behold, he was in California not too long ago, and he was beating the streets and getting good vibes from people in California about his stick. And I was like, okay, man, that's how you do it. You can't just sit on those sticks.
And you know what? You can't do it. You can't do it on this thing.
No,
because it's so easy to say, "No, I'm not interested." Click. When you're face to face with somebody, it's much harder to say, no, and you got to be in their face a little bit,
Yeah. You know what? I think I might want to start creating a segment like that, going to retailers and asking them like, what do they find the hardest thing in the industry? Because that has to be right. The hardest thing is to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be, because because it all depends on your lounge, right? Because you as the owner or the tobacconist or manager of that lounge, you got to know your crowd, right? You got to know the people that come in, what they like, what they don't like,
right?
And it's hard to sell. Like my lounge. My lounge is a perfect example. My guys. All that, my lounge is 90% legacy, and 10% boutique, and look at Ernie, right? Look at my best friend. It wasn't until I started introducing them to other cigars that we've been smoking, and he's like, "Holy crap, man!" I said, "Yeah, there's a whole world out there, buddy. There's a whole world out there."
Well, I think back to the Garofalo interview, and he was saying, a good tobacconist will take that person and say, if you like, I just say, a Padron 7000, man, I got a cigar over here that's half the price of that thing that smokes just like it. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Half the price.
And that guy's probably still going to smoke his Padrones, but every once in a while, maybe he'll buy that other cigar. Maybe he'll, and that's how these,
Well, I look at it like this, like a couple of places. We know JJ is located in Oklahoma. I got a couple of places here in Georgia that I talk to people about, the stick that he's, trying to get in these stores. And every time I stop at this same place and I talk to the owner about that stick, hey, give my guy a call, a really good stick. Me personally, I gave the guy a stick out of my stash for JJ. Hey man, smoke this. Tell me what you like about it, and I'm gonna have my guy call you. And he's like, hey, if it's worth it, I'll talk to him about putting them getting a box or two. And I don't even know the prices of the stick. I'm selling just as hard as if I was selling the sticks for the same company. But you gotta be face to face with these people. And there's just no way around it, because we know a lot of people, they just don't have the energy to do it. They don't, if you got a product, you got to believe in your product and push it, man. Because people gonna buy. If you believe in it, people gonna buy it.
Oh yeah, bro. Listen, you got to put in the legwork. You gotta, and before you reap the rewards, you got to get there, right? You got to get there.
Yep.
So the Leaf and Ash podcast, like and subscribe. Absolutely, it's free. It's
What's
free.
better than free?
That's right. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit all. So every time we go live, one of us or all of us, you guys get notified. We appreciate the subscriptions if you guys subscribe. And we picked up another subscriber. We're like 423. So we listen, slow is fast.
Yeah.
And
to all the people that have subscribed, man, we appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh. No, I thought that what you call it? We on what? We on YouTube and Facebook right now?
YouTube and our Facebooks, yep.
Percentage sold before everything happened. Towers in 25. Now that between 30 depending on the city. Yeah, wow. That's and you see, and that the thing is like LA is a beast within itself, right?
Right.
LA is they beat to their own drum on the West Coast, man. They really do. But they also have the money, you depending on where you at. And I don't know how these like the smaller I've only been to Cali for work only. I've never been there, for leisure. But to me, like I don't how do I say it? I don't want to sound, I didn't care for California. And maybe it's the New York in me, maybe it's the East Coast, West Coast. But LA, what I actually do love is their weather. Their weather is absolutely beautiful.
Can't beat it.
All the time. You can't beat that weather. It's just a whole different vibe out there. And in that retrospect, I respect them a lot because they have their own vibe. You know what I mean? And but it's just a whole different beast. Like I really felt out of place in Cali. Yeah, and that says a lot because to me, I could fit anywhere, but I definitely stood out like a sore thumb.
You gotta move a certain way in Cali, man. So, I like to say, the weather is good, the people are beautiful, but I gotta, get back home to the South, man. So
Yo, man, Cali, man, you gotta be careful, man. You wear the wrong colors, you're in trouble, man. Especially you make a wrong turn, you don't even know you're just wearing an outfit.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, you guys been rocking it, man, for an hour and 13 minutes, man.
Yep, it's about that time.
Yeah, it is. Well, guys, once again, we want to give thanks to our sponsors. As we know, The Godfather, go to thegodfather.com website. Use promo code The Leaf and Ash Podcast. You get an additional 15% off, guys. And I can tell you, this guy has Chris. He's become a good friend. He's basically he's family now with us.
Right.
And, good people, good mom and pop, accessory e-store. So by all means, definitely support them and take advantage of the 15% addition on top of and mind you, he had to raise some prices. He's working on a few things to kind of adjust the prices, looking for different manufacturers and stuff like that. El Guapos, as always, in JJ's little town. And what part of where's it in
El Guapos is in Joplin, Missouri.
Missouri.
Hey, what's going on, Greg?
Oh, here we go. You know, Greg, you're not even in 5 seconds. You're already busting my chops. Real. And also, guys, want to give a shout out and a special thanks to Burn One, which is my home lounge. You know, and I'm working on some things right now. I'm kind of working something out with them right now, guys. I haven't shared with you guys yet because I'm hoping it comes to light. If it comes to light, then it will be good, and we'll see. I was planning to have some opus tonight for my birthday, but my wife is sick, so it's not opus tonight. For real. That's crazy. That is crazy. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys' love and support as always. And once again, hit that subscribe button, share it. And if you guys have any topics, like I said, we don't always have to talk about cigars. It's just how we start the conversation. We talk about everyday life. The only 2 things we do not talk about on our podcast is religion or politics. It's the only thing because we feel that those are the 2 things, unfortunately, that separate, people. And this is a community that we kind of want everyone to mesh and respect one another and build this community. So we don't want any separation. We don't want any backlash, etc. But once again, we appreciate your time. Those who are popular, Greg, I'll get with you later, buddy.
Join us on Tuesday night for our 1-year anniversary show.
Oh, yes, sir. We're gonna be live. We're definitely looking forward to that. You miss my heckler. Yeah, I miss your heckler like I miss a flaring hemorrhoid. On that note, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.